Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Movie Newbie. My name's Jabril Sahimi, and I am the newbie.
Oliver Mangum, writer, producer, fellow film lover, occasionally capable of insight.
Raphael Lucas, thespian, cinephile, and human golden retriever.
So yeah, enjoy the show. Yo, what's up? And we are back again with another episode of the Movie Newbie. I'm your host, Jabril Sahimi, and this is episode 84. As usual, I am joined by Raph and Ollie. How about y'all say hello, please?
Yo, yo, yo.
Bonjour.
Nice, easy, fast, simple.
Yeah, get to it.
Yeah, so we're doing the first movie off of your theme. How about you take it away, Mr. Raph?
I'll take the reins from here. Yo, what's up, guys?
No, that's his line.
Shit, damn it. I fucked up already. Yeah. As I said in the bonus-ode, I will be going through my theme, which is called Keep Rolling. And we're going to start off with Rope. 1948, Rope, Alfred Hitchcock's experimental masterpiece, also his second limited setting film, based on the play of the same name and inspired by the real-life murder of 14-year-old Bobby Franks in 1924 by students Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, which you spotted out when we watched it together yesterday.
Yeah,
very
yes,
nice.
I did.
I did like some deep research on that murder case because it's fascinating. But yeah, I wanted to see what your first opinions were, initial thoughts on Rope. Jabril.
First thing was like, Ben Affleck is old as fuck, man. That dude looks like Ben Affleck, man.
Does, right?
Oh, yeah.
I could not stop seeing Ben Affleck.
Pancake head. Like in South Park.
Yeah. You mean Brandon, right? John Dall?
Yeah, Brandon, yeah.
Fantastic
and then,
actor.
So that was the first thing, and it was just so hard to get that out of my mind. But the first thing was like, okay, there was two things. First, like the camera movements, like the way so I did a little bit of research on like the set and how it worked, and they had like, I don't know how many people moving the walls and moving things around.
To make room for the camera equipment, yeah.
So I thought all of that was really interesting, like how the camera movements was going on. And then the second, the other thing that I wanted to say was a lot of like homosexual, gay energy. And I also did some research into that. And apparently like a lot of the actors and stuff were like in the closet at the time. And they basically wrote this movie to be, to go underneath the radar of like the censorship people,
the Hays Code.
Yeah. So like certain things that they had to change, but like also trying to make it obvious that they were like romantically involved or something. I don't know, but I thought it was just a really nuanced movie. Yeah, a very nuanced film.
Yeah. Very underlined in the subtext, you know, and I think that's the first thing you pointed out as well, is that kind of homosexual undertone, which is very apparent now that we see it through, I think, our contemporary eyes. But back then, who really?
I'll try and find the video that I watched on YouTube. I'll put it in the show notes as well. It was really, really interesting.
Well, I think in the original play that this was based on, those two characters, Brandon and Philip, were actually like explicitly gay or queer or homosexual, so they had roommates. To like exactly long-time companions, as they used to say, but so they obviously they had to make what was subtext to get past the censorship at the time, but yeah, that struck me initially. I think me and Raph watched this together. So just to lay some context, I've never seen this film before. It's always been on my watch list. I wanted to get around to it at some point since I really love Hitchcock and I wanted to see all of his greatest pieces of work. But I hadn't seen it before, so I was really excited when you suggested this. Me and Raph actually ended up watching it together yesterday just because we'd been hanging out. So he came over to mine, we just chilled out and watched it. And yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. I think I'd always known that it was an important piece of... It was an important entry in Hitchcock's canon for sure, an important piece in sort of the history of progressive filmmaking. But I think it had always I thought it always had a reputation of being somewhat awkward or not entirely successful. And so I was surprised that I thought it just really, really worked, not just in terms of the technical achievement, which I did think was fantastic and light years ahead of its time, but I also think that the storytelling was really good, the script was really good, the acting was really good, and the queer subtext, which again, like within 2 minutes, I was like, are these guys fucking? Like, I thought that was really fascinating, and looking at this story as a metaphor for what it must have been like to be in a queer relationship at the time.
Yeah.
I thought it was really fascinating. So yeah, I loved it. But what about you, Raph?
Yeah, I mean, you pointed out how progressive this film is, and I think, that sums it up right there. And that's why I think it's really a masterpiece, because it's light years ahead of what it was trying to do. You know, it's audacious, it's daring, it's almost kind of dangerous, not just in its narrative, but also in its content and technicality. It tries to do something different, not just different, but like brave and like daring, and that's what I feel like gives this film such a timelessness to it. It's so indelible because of the fact that it did something different at that time. So looking at it now, I'm reminded by its genius, really, and it's Alfred. It's Alfred Hitchcock, so he knows
master of suspense.
Yeah, he knows what to do. It's theatrical, which I love. It's kind of the composition, the choreography, the staging, all of it gives it this like immersive experience, but also as a story, like as a story, it's very engrossing, right?
Yeah, I would say this though. I think as a murder mystery, quote unquote murder mystery, I don't think it's quite as successful as it is on the other levels, but I loved what it was doing with the characters.
Well, because it's not like a who did it kind of thing.
Not really, but it's more like a what.
Are they going to find out?
How did him? Or how? So you know what happened, and you're trying to figure out, and you're watching someone else trying to figure out what you already know. It's pathetic fallacy. It's like, what the audience is aware of.
Well, before we move on to favorite scene or favorite performance, whichever we do first this time, I actually just wanted to add, and it's a bit of a callback to when we did Rear Window as well. And I remember being super
one of our first
fascinated.
episodes.
Our second,
wow.
Our second episode. But yeah, I remember saying specifically in that episode that I loved the way that outside of the window, how life was going on was amazing. And in this movie, the way the lighting affected the mood in the room just changed everything. From, like a bright day, it's going to be a party. And then as soon as the thing goes away, like it starts getting more tense, dark. You see lights flashing on their eyes. Like, it was incredible. So yeah, maybe we can. I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And just before we get to the questions again, I love that too. I thought it was so cool how I mentioned this to Raph when we were watching it together last night. I love how Hitchcock was constantly trying to challenge himself in ways that weren't even necessary. Like, to do this whole thing where you compose a film from 10-minute long takes would already have been really hard enough at the time. But he's like, no, what we're going to do is even harder. We're going to set this film in a location where there is a large window open overlooking the entire city, and it's going to be at evening time as well. So you're going to require the background to change at least 8 different times it changes, and you're going to have to constantly adjust the lighting and use that to ratchet up the tension in a way. And I thought that was so cool. And as a gambit, it completely worked. And that cyclorama, that's what I learned it was called, by the way. Those sort of painted backdrops was so cool because it was like 3-dimensional. They had like smoke coming out of chimneys in the distance. The clouds were changing shape. It was incredible.
I mean, that's special effects right there, guys.
It was the biggest cyclorama ever created for a studio lot, apparently.
Oh, wow.
That's what I read anyway.
It just have you guys have both seen Babylon, right?
Yeah.
You know that scene where the sound guy is like, "Shut the fuck up!" I can imagine like on this set, like the sound. There was bits of it where it was just so silent that
because I asked Raph this question. I was like, "Do you think they ADR'd or dubbed the dialogue for all of this film?" And he was like, "No, it doesn't seem that way, and it doesn't look like awkwardly dubbed thing, but
it doesn't.
It would have had to have been at certain points, and how else could they have been able to move the cameras around?
The soundmen and camera operators kept the camera and microphones in constant motion.
Which
is also how they were able to capture the sound.
Wow.
Basically, it was the first like sense of boom operators that came from this film.
Incredible.
Because before it was just standing still kind of microphones,
Yeah,
right?
You beautiful bastard. You've done it again.
Right? You've done it again. This guy. God damn it.
Also, a really complicated figure if you look at his personal life. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Not, condoning any of that.
No. So favorite. I think we'll go with favorite performance first because I think it's that's what I want.
All right.
That's what I want, guys.
Let's do it.
Okay, it's my goddamn theme. Goddamn time. But yeah, favorite performance. Ollie.
I feel like we're probably going to say the same answers. I'm glad that you picked me first. I'm going with John Dall, who played Brandon. Yeah, aka 1940s Ben Affleck. I just thought he was such a wonderful surprise. Yeah. I don't know why I say surprise, but you know when you watch old movies and a lot of the actors you've never seen before because it's a different time period. Yeah. And so there's a chance for great discoveries.
Yeah.
And I just thought his performance was just this wonderful, many-layered thing. It was camp. I'll say that first and foremost. Yeah. I think this film has been embraced, I think, in some corners of the queer cinema community. But I loved how camp it was. I loved how serpentine it was. I loved how delightful and toying, but sinister at the same time it was. I loved what he was doing with his eyes and with his lips, like the way he was delighting and not just... It's such a strange thing because he wanted to commit this murder, but he also wanted to openly flaunt the body in front of a party of people, including the father of the victim. And he's pushing his partner into it as well. He's delighting in his discomfort and making him feel at ease. It's a really, really dense character. And I loved what John Dall brought to the table there. So yeah, that's my choice.
Yeah. He's brilliant. I really... And such a short-lived career.
It was quite sad. I was reading up about him too. It didn't really pan out for him in the end. And I think by all accounts, he was gay himself. And
so apparently him and Farley Granger,
Farley Granger was bisexual.
Oh, okay.
But very openly so.
Yeah.
Didn't have any qualms about it. But
well, I guess during the time of this, it kind of had a bit of a negative impact on their career, especially if maybe not so much if you were bisexual at the time. I'm not exactly
sure. But he was, I believe Farley Granger was in a relationship with the screenwriter.
He was in a relationship with the screenwriter.
Yeah, they didn't stay together very long, but they were involved with one another.
Yes, okay, I confused the two. Well, I was going to go with Farley Granger. I thought his performance was excellent. And his piano playing, I don't know if it was real or not, but it looked very real.
Yeah, I think it
looked
was
very,
playing.
very real.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always pick up on.
Oh, you music man.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Oh, you and your music.
Ribbity-dibbity-doo. But yeah, I just like his range of emotion and just showing what it's like. I guess being the... what's the word? The sidekick, when you commit a crime, the one that doesn't want to do it. I think he did it perfectly well.
The one has more emotion behind it. The one with more frailty, more vulnerability.
I see myself in that character more. But I'm gonna get found out and
but also had a dark side that we didn't really get to see all of because he had that story with the chicken strangling, and that he has this within him. He obviously was a willing participant, but he's more afraid of the repercussions of being caught out.
He's more in denial, I think.
More in denial, which again brings the queer subtext, I think, to the fore here.
And then it also, just to go above that, that whole idea of superiority that they were talking.
Superman theory.
Ubermensch, the Nietzschean.
The ubermensch, how he was showing that he isn't one.
Right.
While Brendan was striving to be the ubermensch, also strange that this was such the topic of this right after World War II is
Sure. No, seriously, some outstanding and complicated and complex themes throughout this film, including Nietzsche's theories. I will go for the one of London's finest tragedians, Constance Collier. She, I thought, was absolutely brilliant. She played Miss Atwater. Miss Atwater. Miss Atwater. I thought she was just fantastic.
Is she the woman who's rattles on about the something?
Somewhere.
The sister-in-law, right? It was because his wife was ill. David's dad's wife was ill, right? So that was
I think so.
His sister-in-law, I believe.
I just thought she brought so much comedy and levity, but also brought that thespian, essence.
Is she a British actor?
Oh
then?
yeah, she's one of a very famous tragedian, and she's was in Broadway and the West End for the first part of the 19th.
Was there anything? Were there any other was there anything we'd know her from?
The Dark Corner, or A Damsel in Distress. Maybe not that one. Whirlpool.
So no.
Just name, but like a huge thespian, a huge actress a huge stage actress, huge stage presence, and you can kind of tell that in this movie. She brought that kind of like, I don't know. She just like the way she was articulative, the way she was announcing.
She was on another level.
It was like,
she was playing.
Yeah. Which is like, I feel like that fit her character, and that fit some of her moments. So I'll give it to that. But also, obviously, like I also want to give a shout out John Dall. He was. I thought like I've only seen this movie. Like a movie.
I knew you were going to make that reference. Come on.
It's like a movie. No, but I've only seen him in this movie, and I just thought his utter brilliance like is exceptional in this. And yeah, it's a shame that we didn't quite get to see him in a lot more. I think he was in Spartacus. But he brings such a multi-layered performance.
Oh, the Kubrick film.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
Oh, it's classic.
Another classic.
Great dad movie.
I love the whole story of Spartacus. So
you should. Yeah. There we go.
Nice.
All right, favorite scene, y'all.
So it'd be like a sequence, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because this is all like one extended real-time
sequence. Which is the fun
sequence.
part. Like, favorite sequence.
Yeah. I think my favorite sequence was the moment. I think it's like the most tension built. The most tension building sequence was when the maid, what's her name?
Mrs. Wilson.
Mrs. Kentley? No.
Wilson.
Oh, Wilson. Yeah, Mrs. Wilson. She comes in and she starts removing the things off the box.
Great.
And then, what a great scene. And I was like, oh my God, why is this guy still talking? Like, come on, go fix it. And then right at the end, when she opens it up, then he's like, ding.
But so calmly.
So calmly.
Very
so calmly. He's a scary character.
Yeah.
Really scary.
It's really scary.
The way he toys with other people, not just obviously, the other people who aren't aware that he's killed this person, but the way he's like toying with his partner, then also toying with that woman and her ex-boyfriend by lying about knowing.
Yeah, he would make a great
fantastic Bond villain.
Great point.
Yeah. If we ever write a Bond movie, guys.
He would be in our minds. Yeah. Ollie, favorite sequence?
So my favorite scene or sequence is, you mentioned the piano playing earlier, Jabril. It's when Rupert, Jimmy Stewart's character, sits down or stands above Philip while he's playing the piano
and
starts interrogating him while the metronome is ticking in the background. I just think that metronome it's a classic Hitchcockian device, but it really does add tension to the scene. And I just loved like the idea of interrogating someone while they were playing an instrument. And I loved what the piano meant for the character of Philip as well. I think they reference at some point that he always plays better when he's nervous, or he has like nervous energy to get out. Right. So it's almost like his way of sort of drowning out the noise of like the growing suspense or terror or fear of being caught. But then also it's his way to sort of be free too. I just felt like there was a lot in there, and I thought that was a really clever interrogation scene. And it reminded me actually of a scene in The Talented Mr. Ripley. Have you guys both seen that?
Yeah.
No. Great movie. We should do it on this podcast at some point. But there's a scene where Matt Damon, who plays Tom Ripley, who's also like guilty of crimes, is playing the piano and just sort of starts unburdening himself of his guilt while playing the piano. And it's, just reminded me of that. And also on a complete side note, we were talking about John Dall, but I actually think in another life he would have made an incredible Tom Ripley if he had been one of the earlier adaptations of the books. Talking about that sort of conflicted performance.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, so during that scene where there's the metronome and he's playing the piano, the metronome is actually off time, or he's playing off time to the metronome. Do you think that was a conscious choice to add tension?
An offbeat,
or do you think it was just something in the moment that happened?
I mean, I think to the lay person, they wouldn't perhaps pick up on that, but maybe it was. Maybe
it's hard to play offbeat as a musician.
Maybe. Well, it could just be that that's how the audio was layered. But I think I would like to believe that was on purpose. That there was intention behind that.
Because it was a really tense scene.
Yeah. So that's the brilliance of like, someone that's a master behind the camera to like pick up on all of that and make that part of the choices in the scene.
It's the nuance for me.
Yeah.
It's the nuance in this. And I guess it's because of the lack of technological ability, you notice the nuance a lot more.
Sure.
Like while now everything's like CGI'd and shit, you don't really see the nuance as much anymore. Everything looks too perfect.
There's something. There's a practical element to these films. For me, because I think these were honorable mentions of mine actually, and I will go for something a little different. I think it's towards the beginning, but it's when he puts the rope in the drawer. There's like this beautiful panning shot that goes from the living room to the kitchen, where we get to see Mrs. Wilson talk to Brendan as he's going inside the kitchen, and the door kind of flaps, and you see like
that was so that made me that almost made me come basically. That was so good. Like almost like in terms of just like confidence. I was like, did they just get lucky, or did they bloody? Because also this is like in the middle of like a 10-minute take. Like
they probably have like a
who knows?
I don't know. It's one of those things where like that's just like mastery right there.
Yeah.
But also like
practice.
Like, in practice. I don't know how many times they must have rehearsed, but I don't know. But it's one of those things where I was like, man, that just worked perfectly. That's a 10 out of 10 right there. And that was like kind of the first sequence we were introduced. So to have that to set up the whole thing, it's
totally forgot about that part.
Yeah. And that's just the door flapping, right? It's like, oh my God, what the hell?
And also what's important to note as well is that at the time, like film was really, really expensive.
Yeah.
So every moment of the film running was like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's so much risk.
And also you only get 10 minutes. There's only 10 minutes of film capacity footage.
Until until it runs out. The stock runs out. Yeah.
So like, or some, if there's a slight noise, if something falls, if like someone there's all these like things that could happen that could deter from the actual scene, or where they would have to restart.
It's like that Babylon scene. Like
it's exactly like it.
Has that ever happened to you? Like where you guys try? Well, not because you don't have the same limitations. Maybe weather, or
I guess being weather dependent is one thing, but also like I think for me one of the things that like suddenly I thought we couldn't do this scene is when it started snowing in December when I did one of my films.
Oh shit. Was it for that short film?
Yeah, we were shooting outside and it was meant to just be like a calm, dusk kind of day.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be like a very simple scene with like few lighting stuff, like, instruments all around and it was supposed to be like a calm scene. Then it starts snowing out of nowhere. So we kind of used the elements, and if anything, it enhanced the film because it looks so beautiful now.
Yeah,
snow.
Especially in London, like
So it's one of those things where you have to adapt.
Yeah.
So, but I think with this, there's only so much you can adapt because if you do miss your cue, if you do miss your line, or if you do, overstep, you have to do it again.
Yeah, I don't think it's chance though with this. It just seemed too well orchestrated.
It's choreographed, it's planned, it's orchestrated.
Especially with what you're saying with the cyclorama, like with the attention to detail with like the chimney, like the smoke coming out of the small chimney.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just utter brilliance. All right, favorite line, Mr. Oliver.
I mean, there were quite a few that I wrote down, but I know which one I'm going to pick up with. It's not like the most memorable line on its own, but I really love what it said about the characters. And that is a line from Brandon, the character played by John Dall. He says early on, "It's the darkness that's got you down. Nobody really feels safe in the dark." And so this is when, just after they've strangled David, and Philip is freaking out, and Brandon goes and yanks open the curtains, revealing that it's daylight outside and they're in New York City. And I think that what's great about that line is that I think it really provides an insight to the character of Brandon, because I was thinking the whole time, why is he doing this? Like, why does he feel the necessity to not just murder somebody, but go through the risk of actually holding the body in the center of a room during a party? And I think if you think about the queer narrative too, it really it really holds a lot of water. That that's him. He doesn't feel safe in the dark. He has to be out in the open. And in this case, what's out in the open is his psychopathic tendencies or his homicidal tendencies. Like, he doesn't feel safe if it's hidden. So he has to, in some way, expose it. Because I think on some level, he wants to be caught. That's my take on the character anyway. So I thought that it was a throwaway line, but I think it really,
represents the character.
It spoke a lot about who he is.
You're exactly right. Like, he's like, to be one of the ubermensch, or to be one of that select few, you have to, your crime has to be found, and somebody has to find out about your crime.
Or you have to be above repercussions or above reprimanding. You can't be like any other, pathetic mortal criminal.
Yeah.
Joker. Yeah. Jabril?
So for me, I'm gonna go with a line from Philip, and basically this happened. He basically says, "You made me do it, and I hate you." And he says, "I hate the both of us." And basically, it's like it's again the same conversation that, like, when I spoke about the performance, is like his ability to feel more than Brendan on that certain situation, and then also battling with himself to figure out if he's actually part of it or trying to remove himself from it. He still doesn't know, and I think
he's too susceptible for such things.
Exactly.
Brendan would say he's too weak.
Yeah.
I've got one. It's a little sinister, but it's from Brendan. He says, "I've always wished for more artistic talent. Well, murder can be art too. The power to kill can be just as satisfying as the power to create."
Yeah, another great line.
God damn.
God damn. Just got chills.
Yeah, just got chills.
I got chills.
Yeah, again, like a really well.
Multiplying.
That's not the lyrics.
Yeah. No, I don't know what song that is.
I was in my own little world.
Oh, fuck.
No, it's just a really well written piece of art, of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I give a shout out to the playwright who wrote the original play, Patrick Hamilton. Patrick Hamilton, sorry. He wrote Gaslight, which is a very famous play that I've seen performed live, which spawned the term gaslight. And then also, he's a great novelist. He wrote one of my favorite books, Hangover Square.
Nice.
I'm not saying that he's responsible for a lot of these lines, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were taken straight from the text.
From what I know, they had to change a lot of the lines a little bit.
Okay.
They were like, they need to make it more literary.
Right.
That was like the thing.
Interesting.
I'm gonna find this video that I watched. I'll put it in the show notes for everyone. But yeah, it was because they had to change it from British English to American English to make it more.
Right, of course.
Of course. Yeah, because he's a British writer. Makes right. Mystery question.
No, isn't it? Armchair moment.
Armchair.
Yeah.
Ellie.
That's on New York.
This one, New York City. Armchair moment. I mean, good luck.
I feel like I'm always like the bummer because I always come prepared with an armchair moment.
You just have more of a critical perception.
I don't always use it as like a way to improve it. I use it as like a what if as well.
Sure,
true.
That's a really nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
But my initial thought was just I think the monologue at the end that Jimmy Stewart's character Rupert gives, I just think it goes a little bit too far. I felt like that. I don't know what was the case behind the scenes, but it felt to me like that was the product of the Hays Code and of the censors and of what was the prevailing social morality of the time, where his character flips from being this sort of surly, morally dangerous perhaps, or morally, potentially amoral professor who actually encouraged these boys into this line of thinking about murder and about
he was the inspiration.
Exactly. And actually in the original text, I think he was meant to be homosexual as well, and they were all part of a triangle of sorts. But anyway, I thought when he had that turn and he just gives this grandstanding speech about about the sickness that exists within them and about how wrong it is to kill another man and about how he would never go that far. It felt like too extreme of a 180.
Yeah.
And I felt like, again, it was just them playing into the prevailing social mores of the time. And I felt like I wish that the film had stuck to its more darker nature with that ending. That said, though, the last shot of the film is
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
incredible with the sirens in the background,
the lighting, the sound.
Totally, yeah. But other than that, I think it's chef's kiss. This whole film.
Now that you mention it, to be honest, the one thing that troubled me actually was Jimmy Stewart and his performance.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did not, and
apparently he wasn't first choice.
No, he
either,
wasn't. I don't think he didn't like this movie. And I think that's why Alfred Hitchcock made sure that his salary was nice and juicy, which again, I was like, fuck off, man. And I don't know, for me, you can sense a discomfort in his performance.
I thought that maybe it wasn't intentional, maybe genuinely was, but I thought it worked with the character up until the end.
That monologue was, I think, there was something inauthentic about it. There's something uncomfortable about it, and I don't think that was part of the character, because I think that's when he actually lashes out and finds his embodiment. But no, there felt something very disembodied, and I thought. And don't get me wrong, I love Jimmy Stewart, but for me, I don't think he belonged in this film.
Do you have someone else in mind?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a big shot. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have an A-lister. I would give the opportunity to someone else. I think having
Jeremy Strong.
Yeah, Jeremy Strong. Fucking you killed him, man.
Bill Hader.
No, but I would give the opportunity to someone who doesn't have those, because as soon as you see him, you're like, oh,
I love when Jimmy Character.
Jimmy Character.
Oh my god.
Jimmy Character. Jimmy Carragher.
Jimmy Carragher. No, when Jimmy Stewart. Sorry, I love it when he appears in Hitchcock films, because he usually plays. He subverts his type, which is the all-American nice guy.
Yeah.
And he plays these somewhat dubious or morally conflicted characters, or slightly sinister. And I think he had that here. I loved how uncomfortable his character was in the whole scenario. You could see that he wasn't someone who was used to socializing. It did feel a little bit awkward that he was suddenly slid into this detective mode. It's why is he being so nosy in the first place anyway? And why are they so nervous around him? But I thought he was great otherwise. I really like him in those sort of roles, in Vertigo and in Rear Window.
It worked. Yeah, of course it works there. I just felt for this piece, it was not about him. I don't know. I felt it was made about him when he entered, because I'm like, it's Jimmy Stewart, so now he's gonna have a monologue that lasts 5-10 minutes, and it's is that because of the time? Is that because of his stature? Is that because
What are you trying to say, Raph? What are you saying here? God damn it. Go knock your socks off if you don't be careful.
Yeah, I found it hard to at least do an armchair moment or anything for this one. Just because
you like these golden age films,
I do like them.
Right? I do like them. Yeah. We got to show you more. We got to take it back. I
like him. I do.
I do.
Like him. I do.
I do. I like him.
I really like him.
It's very nice.
Yeah. I like him. I do.
You sound like you sound like an early Adam Sandler there. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like these moving pictures. They're really good. Yeah. See, we're gonna make money, you and I.
It was maybe the only thing was just because I'm a sound guy, and sound could have been better.
Sure.
But obviously at that time it's I'm just picking at shit here.
Oh.
I really liked it. Maybe there was a bit where you could see the cameraman walking rather than
no, or the cuts. The cuts.
Some of the cuts were
me and Oli did have a good time.
That good old classic going to the back of someone's car. They did that literally for every single cut. I'm like, come on guys, there must be another way to find some all black part of the room or something.
Yeah, or a wall. Or
or someone walking to someone walking.
I think they did.
I just love the idea the cameraman was just there was no cuts there. The cameraman was just whoop. Just
someone going,
God damn.
Yeah. Well, I think it was 3 times that it was a person, and once was the box.
There was a straight cut as well at one point where they
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. They just did an angle change.
Yeah.
They couldn't find someone's back, I suppose. Yeah. They're searching the room for a back. Where's the back?
And they ran out of time. So
oh shit, just cut.
Oh shit!
Thanks to Matt Damon, we ran out of time.
I mean, I was wondering, like, if you don't have anything that you would change about this movie to improve upon it, for armchair moment. I mean, maybe we can do this another time. But I was thinking, like, it'd be interesting to talk about, like, for these golden age films, who would you cast them with if they were being remade today?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, of course. Yeah.
Done.
I don't know. Maybe like a multiracial cast of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
what was your bonus question? Was that the bonus question?
No. I had a couple of bonus questions. It's kind of hard to find a mystery question because the first one was many times did you think they actually use these takes, but it's just like that's bleh. The other one is a bit sinister and kind of weird, but it's like, where would you hide the murder weapon?
Murder weapon.
Oh, the rope.
But I think,
are we gonna play like a game of Clue?
Yeah. It's just like, where are you going? No, I think I want to do something else. I think if you were given kind of limited resources, a budget, you have your actors, you have your story, but you can only do it in one continuous take, which limited setting would you choose? By limited setting, I mean like which kind of as in this movie, they only use an apartment. Which kind of limited setting would you use?
That's a good question. Maybe like a moving vehicle, like a train or a plane.
Nice.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. Because like a vehicle, a transport mode of transportation. Sorry, usually has like an end destination. Everyone's trapped in that space for a short amount of time.
That's good. I don't think we've
cool,
ever
real time.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Sort of conceit.
I'm along your lines, but I want to be like more specific. Either like an ambulance or a food truck. Because they have loads of windows and like different entryways where you could take shots from. Because like if you just think of like the food truck and the way it looks like, you can fit a lot of people in there. You can create a lot of.
I'd love to see like what the thriller would be like in the food truck. I can see the ambulance.
Well,
but
there's
the food truck.
What's that Favreau movie?
Yeah, like Chef, but that's not exactly like.
It's not tense.
I love to see like boiling point in a food truck.
I mean, freaking the bear? It's
the bear. The first.
Yeah, for sure.
That first episode is one long take.
Yeah. No, it's not the first episode.
Or is it
the second to last episode? I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Anyways,
well,
but there
boiling point.
Boiling point.
Yeah.
Fine example.
But you can't really move very much around in a food truck, right?
No, but it'd be very confined.
Just like a 360 camera.
It'd feel like Buried with Ryan Reynolds. Very confined, very tight space. That'd be quite claustrophobic.
Because if you're saying like limited budget, right? Rather than having like a huge camera and things, I'd have like a GoPro and you could probably like pass it through to people.
Sure.
And like, I don't know. Do something like that. But what about you?
That's really cool. That's really cool. When I said limited budget, I was like kind of shot myself in the foot. So I'm going to extend that. You're getting a budget, but I like your creativity, guys. I would do it in a hospital. I would do like an operation room or an ER type situation where it's just like kinetic, intense,
like one like nightmare shift.
Yeah,
like say there was like a flood or an explosion.
Have
so
that, like 24 beeping in the background.
Yeah.
But like focusing on nurses. Focusing on like their job and their lives, their like daily 24 hours. Not so much on the doctors themselves, but the nurses. I think that'd be really first like probably uncomfortable, but also like really a great insight into.
Like Garbage Man would be good.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen a movie about a garbage man. Is the Garbage Man still a good? Can you say Garbage Man?
I don't know.
I think so. Actually, I don't know what the right nomenclature is. Maybe like rubbish pickup.
Rubbish pickup crew.
I don't know if that's the right term though.
There's like too many words though.
Yeah.
But something I don't know, something
waste management.
Waste management.
That's what I think the gangsters say when they're asked what they do.
Yeah, waste management. Yeah, he's a part of the waste management. But yeah, no, a hospital would be a very electrifying kind of experience. So let's manifest. Let's make these movies, guys.
Get writing.
Let's do it.
Right. On to the ratings, I guess. What's up? What are we doing here, guys? Are we all? Are we? Am I sensing? Are we? Oh, I don't know. Is it going to be a? No.
I might have to pop that balloon right now.
Yeah.
I love this movie. That was really, really good. But I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 monogrammed silver cigarette cases.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh man, that made me want to smoke so bad.
Yeah. Was it Rupert's huge one?
Yeah.
It was like an A5 size.
He had like an iPad in his pocket.
iPad of cigarettes.
His cigarettes are like.
Do you guys remember when like the iPhone case came out? They had like random apps where it's like a lighter, or a lightsaber,
or the beer.
Yeah, the beer,
or the like a birthday cake with candles that you could blow out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Ollie on this one, and I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna give a little bit more. A 9.5 metronomes.
Hot.
Yeah, 9.5 metronomes. It wasn't perfect for me.
No.
I put Rear Window up there.
Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you gave Rear Window a 10.
I think I did.
Rear Window.
And if I didn't, I'm giving it a 10 now.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
10 out of 10 binoculars.
Retrospective. You like when Pitchfork decided they fucked up on their original review and they with Andrew WK's album. Actually, this is a 10, not a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 9.8 ropes. Use the classic murder weapon out of 10. Yeah. 9.8 ropes out of 10.
Nice. Well, on that note, we're going to finish it here. Before we forget, at the end of this month, on the 30th, we have Temps Rising coming up. And as usual, we're going to have the link down below or wherever you find our comments. And speaking of comments, can you leave some for us on our social media? Give us a 5-star ratings. You know what to do. Share, subscribe, like, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your friends. And yeah, ciao for now. Next movie is Children of Men. Bye-bye.